Okay, so I was listening to a podcast today, Irish history podcast by Finn Dwyer, and Finn's actually a great listen if you're interested in Irish accents. He's got a lot of great Hiberno-English usages and stuff, accents and more than accents, dialect. But I noticed he was talking about a Norman lord named Thomas Fitzstephen, Stephen Fitzstephen. I don't know. The name Thomas was in there somewhere, but he repeatedly, resolutely kept pronouncing this as Thomas. And this is actually something that Irish people do a lot. This is what's known as hypercorrection. So hypercorrection is when you correct something that doesn't need corrected. You go too far the other way. So the great example, I'll use this example of Thomas in Irish, right? So you're aware that a lot of Irish people don't say a written th as we might say t or d for that sound. So you're aware that this is something that you need to correct. If it's a written th, you've got to say it carefully as a th, because you can't rely on what you've heard other Irish people say to guide you in how this is pronounced. You can't rely on your spoken community as a guide to correct pronunciation, right? And that's why a lot of Irish people will say Thomas. Well, they won't, they'll say Thomas. But, you know, they will pronounce it as it's spelled. Like foreigners saying Thames for Thames, right? They're going by the spelling, not by how the word's actually pronounced, even though they've all, watched Thomas the Tank Engine and it's not pronounced Thomas there. But then we get into how it's pronounced on Thomas the Tank Engine. And yes, this is entirely due to comments on my Facebook, but why not? That makes a good post. So, in Thomas the Tank Engine, of course, the narrator is famously Liverpudlian and Liverpudlianly famous, and says Thomas the Tank Engine occasionally. Thomas, probably the Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't do that accent very well. Thomas, but it's t. And someone mentioned, the T is more aspirated. It's not more aspirated. So here's what aspiration essentially is, right? It's when you pronounce a sound, specifically a stop, and that's a sound that you make by blocking the airflow through your mouth. It's a consonant, so it's not going to be a vowel. You make by blocking the airflow through your mouth completely and then releasing it in an explosive of air. So p, b, d, t, g, k. They're all stops. They block the air completely. You can't hum a stop. You can hum everything else. You can't hum a stop, right? That's how you tell. If you can't tell if it's a stop, can you hum it? No, it's a stop. So the stop obviously in Thomas is t. And as a native English speaker, we don't make a meaningful distinction between if something is aspirated or not, right? So some languages, the word's meaning will change if the sound is aspirated or not. With us, aspiration is just something that happens automatically when the sound is in certain places in a word. One of those places is at the start without another consonant in front of it, like as in Thomas or top. If you say Thomas and you hold your hand in front of your face, Thomas, you will feel a massive puff of air come out when you say Thomas. Now just pretend, we'll do it with top and stop because there's a reason. So top, and you can feel a puff for the t, you can feel a puff for the p at the end of it. Stop, however, stop. There's no puff for the t. It actually sounds, if you were to stop and listen to it, a little bit more like a D as we think of it than a T. That's because it's an unaspirated T. It's still a T. We're still not using our vocal cords to bring them into it. That would make it a D. We're not doing that, but we're not aspirating it. And that makes it sound a little less like the platonic ideal of a T to us. Because in our head, T is aspirated, but it actually isn't every time we say it. What's happening with the Liverpudlian T, Thomas, is in fact that it is mixed with an S. So there is a set of consonants called affricates. The most common two in English are ch, as in a ch, like chair, and j, as in, judge or jump or genocide, because that's a good word to throw in randomly. Anyway, so these are, the ch is actually a combination of a t and a sh, as in shush, silence, shop, right? T, sh. Just try and say them both more or less at the same time, counting the T first, and it goes ch. Same with the D and the j. It's a d and a j, d and a j. And they've got affricates. One of the bit is not a fricative, as in the t and the d, and one of the bits is a fricative, as in the sh and the zh. And if you notice, ch and zh are pairs. The only difference is the voicing. You put your mouth and your lips and your teeth and everything in the same places, and your tongue in the same place to say them. The vocal cords are active in j, and they are inactive in ch. And that's the only difference between them. They are a minimal pair. The only difference is one aspect of how they're pronounced. So, what the Liverpudlian t is in fact a t and an s, t and s, pronounced more or less simultaneously, kind of with the t at the start, but t, and that is its own separate sound in some languages, but in terms of Liverpudlian English, it's just what happens to the letter T in certain word positions. Thomas. There you go.